Okay, hello everybody, my name is Fudo, and today we're going to be doing a quick video about how to showcase, or how to use Arma 3 Eden editor, especially for within the nsib mods preset. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. So before you get into anything that actually matters, you're going to need to go ahead and download Eden Enhance from the workshop. It's a very small mod that has a bunch of useful utilities to mission making inside Arma 3, and I use a lot of them here. So if you're wondering why something's missing and you don't have the mod, that's why. So there you go. Now you have the mod off of Workshop. I'm not going to bother putting the link in here. Now let's go over some of the easiest stuff that you can do, which is the Attributes tab. Attributes General is the most self-explanatory thing. Here it pretty much says what you need to have it or do. You go in for the presentation, that'll just be what the op is called and who it's named by, or well, who made it. Overview, this is the picture that displays when you're inside of Overview. This is the text, and there you go for all three of that. You don't really have to worry about anything here like the states or whatever, because how it is default is perfectly fine. The only thing that you really have to worry about here is inside MISC. You're going to want to make sure that you set the independent allegiance to what you're supposed to set it to. So if you want independent to attack Blue Fort, then make sure that that will those swords are crossed, and be friendly towards Op 4 is the shaking hands kind of thing, and you could obviously just click that. So you're going to want to make sure to do that. You don't really want to mess around with anything else, but yeah, make sure you do make click the binized scenario file, or else the loading times are going to be kind of bad, and they already are, so make sure to click that. It's clicked by default. Attributes environment is, again, another very self-explanatory thing. You can go and set visual settings, wind settings. I wouldn't do this, by the way, because I've screwed that up. Wave settings, lightnings, rain, fog start. It's all pretty self-explanatory. I mean, yeah. And keep in mind that Arma 3 does use real-time weather for some maps, and it does use real-time moon. So if you see that, that's the state of the moon. I don't know what state that is because I'm pretty much blind. But it will, depending on the day and what time and the month and all that, the night will change. So if you do, for example, something that's set in January, at midnight, it'll be pretty dark, whereas opposed to midnight inside May, it'll be less dark because it's the summer. So use common sense. Attributes multiplayer is where stuff gets slightly complicated, but not very. For this, you don't really have to mess around with much of this. For the game type, that's just stuff that'll appear inside of the mission select screen or the server browsing screen. Summary, that'll appear when you type in hashtag missions. Make sure that you do not have either enable AI or auto assign slots. Make sure that both those are unchecked. If AI is enabled, you'll have a bunch of friendly AI for the playable units that you spawn down and nobody took. And auto assign slots is just kind of bad. Now, you don't have to mess around with pretty much anything else here. Stuff like tasks, revive, and dynamic groups. All those should be by default disabled or set to what they need to. What you need to mess around with in particular is, well, the respawn. By default, it'll be set on to respawn or disabled, like that. Now you're going to click that drop-down arrow, click respawn on a custom position. Select your whichever ones out of this you want. I pretty much click everything disabled, or else it might get screwy. And you're going to want to set a respawn delay to whatever you want. You can set it to an hour, you can set it to a minute. It's all up to you. The other things you're going to mess around with, you don't really have to mess around with vehicle respawn delay unless you're doing a sandbox type mission. The scoreboard doesn't matter. You're going to probably want to allow manual respawn in case somebody gets bugged. Allow AI to score, that doesn't really matter either because you don't use AI, but I keep it disabled. Make sure that all these are set to 0, where people will have limited lives. Unless you want to actually set that as a team set of lives, I wouldn't. And you want to make sure save loadout is disabled. But now you're probably wondering how you actually make it so that it respawns. You don't just do that. You have to place down a very specific type of marker. So if we go into M, you'll see what the marker that I spawned down. It is not that one. It is this. You go into the little markers tab, use the system empty, spawn that down, rename the variable text, do not rename the actual text, to respawn west, and then you will respawn there. And that's where you will respawn. For Op 4, it's respawn east, and for independent, it's respawn gorilla. You gotta look up how to spell gorilla on your own. And respawn for civilians is respawn _civilian. So that's pretty much how you do respawns and all the stuff inside the Generals tab, or inside the Attributes tab. You don't really have to mess around with much else inside of here until we get into later stuff. So there you go. Now that's all that's, or the respawns plus stuff down. Next up, you're going to want to go and set down playable units. Who would have guessed? And obviously non-playable units, but playable units is what we're going to focus on. So you spawn down your playable unit, this dude. I'd recommend, if you're doing it for sample slots, just spawn down respawn unarmed, or rifleman unarmed. It doesn't really matter though. So here you go. Variable names are only for stuff that you're doing with scripting and or Zeus, and we'll get into that a bit later. But for the sake of this, I set the dude that's the Zeus slot to be named P1. You want to make sure that you click player or playable, depending if you already have a player slot down. The player slot will be the first playable slot that you spawn down, so the first unit of any mission will be a player. So if you spawn down AI before you spawn down the template dudes, make sure you just uncheck it on the AI and check it on the dudes that you're playable. Role description is what appears inside the role selection screen. So for this, we did name here Zeus, and so if we played this in multiplayer, that would be what the slot is called. You don't have to mess around with anything else inside this unless you want to, but you really don't need to. So there you go. That's how you set down that. And for this, the second guy that's not the player unit will be the playable unit. It's the same general thing. For medics, what you want to do is you want to spawn down a vanilla. It's very important that you spawn down only vanilla units. Don't spawn down like CUP or RHS things, or ACE will not work. But for a medic, you just want to spawn down a combat lifesaver, and then this guy will be able to use packs per our modules. Make sure just set him to playable and say his name. So now he's a playable unit. In order to, if you want to like have multiple fire teams or whatever, spawn down a bunch of dudes. And then pretty much what you do is you just select them all, right click, connect, group to nothing, and that ungroups them all. It should have ungrouped them all. Apparently it didn't. Group 2. And then you just say that you want these two dudes to be in fire team. Group 2. Them. Now they'll be in the same group inside Zeus, or inside the role select screen, and also stuff with C-tabs. But that's the playable units kind of crap that you have to worry about. It's not very hard, so now you should know how to do respawns and place down playable units. Let's get into a bit more of the difficult things. I guess first we should probably go over modules. I'd honestly just recommend not screwing around with these and copying and pasting them exactly. The only ones that you should really have to mess around with are the Game Master modules, which we are here. So I have P1 and P2 set to do this. Make sure that when you spawn down a Game Master module, you click all add-ons, including unofficial ones, or else you'll only have access to vanilla units, and that'll be kind of weird. And make sure you don't have forced interface, obviously. Okay, but so that's modules. For the most part, like I said, just pretty much copy and paste these into your mission because they're perfect as is. So now we move them away. And now let's get into a couple of things that, for the most part, this stuff is really, really easy. So first, if you want to do a slideshow, what you want to do is you want to spawn down the ACE slideshow module. So for this, you go to Systems and just search slideshow, and you spawn down this. For the objects, you're going to want to make sure that you name stuff. So now that you know how to spawn that. So this is the screen that we want the pictures to display on. So I've clicked on that and I've named it S1 inside the variable name. Now, inside here, objects that you want to make sure you put S1 in here, whatever you call the screen. Controller is what will allow you to switch the screen. So I've used this mouse and I've named it C1. Now inside controllers, C1. Images. For this, what you want to do is you just want to make sure you have the missions inside of your mission folder. So if I drag this over here, sample up. Here we have Nazi and nsib, nsib.jpg and nazi.png. So here we have that too. You separate these things by commas. So if you want 1,000 images in your slideshow, separate them by commas. Next, this will go in order. So now, for what appears when you ace interact and to see what screen, because it won't just say like nsib.jpg inside the ace when you ace interact with the mouse. It'll say logo, and it goes in order. So the first image will be called that. It will be called the first thing. The second image will be called the second thing. It's pretty self-explanatory. Make sure you set slide duration to 0, and you don't really have to do anything with set name, assuming that you're only doing one module. Or one computer screen, but you pretty much just need those two things plus the slideshow module and a table probably. Now say that you just want to have a static image, now slideshow. For this you can spawn down pretty much anything that has a screen, and you just double click on it, set this, you don't have to set the variable name, you just do this, setObjectTexture 0, whatever you want inside of it. So if you want the nsib logo, it's nsib.jpg. If you want the Nazi emblem that's inside the mission, you put nsib.jpg, pretty much whatever you want. And you can have infinite like pictures inside the mission. So yeah, and that's the easiest way to do that, and that's how you set custom billboards. For the chairs, you literally just spawn down rattan chairs. Don't spawn down anything else because ASEX is kind of outdated at the moment. So now the only other thing that we really have to go over inside the mission itself is going to be the spawning down the boxes for selectable loadouts. For this, you spawn down an equipment box. You can spawn down literally anything. You could spawn down like a tree and use it, but I just recommend a box. You're going to want to name it something. I do A box, B box, C box, D box, etc. So you spawn down an A box. Make sure you clear out the inventory of it, or else people have inventory, which there you just go to equipment storage and clear. And so I have A box and B box. Now you're effectively pretty much done with doing stuff inside of Arma. Now we go outside of Arma and we go into the mission folder. So missions are located in Documents, Arma 3, Other Profiles, your profile name, Missions. Here I have, well, not that many missions because I deleted like 10,000 gigabytes of them. But you have sampleop.br. Make sure you can save this. So you do scenario save, and then and name it something, or else it won't appear inside that inside of here, obviously. So here we have a whole bunch of crap. Let's go over loadouts first. So what we've done is we'll do something new for the sake of this. So we have Newt 1 inside Notepad+++. Now in order to get your loadout from well, we have to first off create the load. So let's take the Mac and let's edit his loadout inside here. Let's create a loadout, as you do. Then you click export. Now this will be in your controls. Well, now you just press Control V. Now you have all this inside of here, right? First things first. Control F. Replace that with that. You're just going to either have to manually type it in or ask me for it over Steam, one of the two. Now what you do is replace all in current open documents, and then 2 slashes will appear in front of every comment, and thus it will negate them. Next, you're going to want to do this set face, and you're going to want to delete the set face, or everybody's going to be the exact same, which is just kind of weird. Last off, you're going to want to replace this with player, and again replace all. Now you have this pretty much done. Well, it is done. Now you want to save this as something swag.sqf. You have to make sure to name it .sqf. Now, my brain just dropped out for a second. Now you have swag.sqf. What do you do with that? Well, now you go into the loadout.sqf that you're copying from my mission, and you have this inside of here by default. Now you want to do is just say copy this script, and say you want it on B box, which is the second box down. And then you just change this to sample loadout swag, or this bit is whatever you want it called. This bit is what the SQF is called. Save that, and now it'll appear inside the box. Yeah, create auto. Interesting. Anyway, so now that's that done with, and now you have your loadouts. You can do that as many times as you want, obviously. 1 second. Okay, now the only other couple things that you have to really do to make this mission work is as follows. First off, you're going to want to copy might and hit .sqf. You have to have this front bit, and this removes hostile or actual grenades from AI units, because the AI will just spam grenades at you. So you're going to want that. You already dealt with the loadout .sqf, now you want with the on-player respawn .sqf. This will mean that you respawn with no equipment. So it means that you respawn with clothes and that's it. So it prevents people from just respawning with like machine guns and killing everybody repetitively in spawn. And, well, to be honest, that's the short version of it, at least for creating everything, when it comes to friendly units. To do hostile units, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. It's pretty simple. You spawn down this, attributes, and the only thing that you want to mess around with is skill, nothing else. But now you're pretty much done. So now what you want to do is click Scenario, Export, Export to Multiplayer. Now, to get this mission onto the server, you do it as follows. You go to your drive, wherever your Arma 3 is, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Arma 3, MP Missions. Then in here, I have a lot of items in here. In here, now we have sample, op.vr, copy and paste it into the server MP Missions folder, and you're pretty much done. If you have any questions, just message me on Steam, but you shouldn't. So hopefully this helped. If it didn't, you're retarded. Use the sample mission that's inside my challenge. I have TeamSpeak to learn. Anyway, I'm going to go and play something else now.